one of my favorite guys in sports media joining the show now, Chris Broussard of First Things First, which is right after this show. He's also on Fox Sports Radio, The Odd Couple with Rob Parker. Chris, I see a Celtics green tie. Very out of character for you. What's going on with that? I thought you were a Knicks fan. Come on.
Well, I'm not a Knicks fan, but I'm thinking of this as more as Timberwolves green. Is that accurate? Timberwolves got a lot of colors. But
out of your
yeah,
mind.
I think it's more T-Wolves green.
Man,
yeah,
listen, I miss you from being out here in L.A. We used to do your podcast. I would dominate you in debates. It was fun. So let's start with much of a debate. So Klay Thompson picks the Mavs over the Lakers. Is this a shot against LeBron? Oh, nobody wants to play with LeBron. Or is this like the Lakers brand is a little damaged? They couldn't get Danny Hurley. Couldn't get Klay Thompson. Couldn't get any superstar. Right. I mean, Max Christie is the Lakers' big signing so far this offseason to date.
Yeah, look, I don't think he was so much turning down the Lakers as he was choosing the Mavericks. The Lakers, all this talk about them offering him a 4-year, $80 million deal, they couldn't offer him that. I mean, yeah, they could do a sign and trade and get him that. And that's what they tried to do by getting, D'Lo, getting him traded to the Warriors. But the Warriors have been there and done that. So once you take that's not happening and D'Lo's not getting traded, how were they going to even clear that cap space to get him? They were going to try, and Klay was smartly like, I'm not waiting around for weeks or who knows, even longer for you guys to get a deal done. I'll go ahead and sign with Dallas. As far as you say not wanting to play with LeBron, I don't think that's a factor. I mean, because a lot of players around the league will tell you that guys haven't always wanted to play with Luka. So that same knock on, LeBron's been ball dominant and everything revolves around him. That also is the case with Luka Doncic. So I don't think that was part of it at all. And I think Klay, I know just being a competitor, that he's going to want to stick it to the Warriors, right? Mm-hmm. What better way to stick it to them than going there and getting your 5th ring when Steph and Draymond still only have 4? And I think he's got a better chance of doing that with the Mavericks than the Lakers. I'm sure everybody feels that way.
Yeah, now, one more on the Lakers. So they won 47 games last year. LeBron and AD were healthy. They went to the conference finals 2 years ago. But, Chris, I looked at the roster this morning. I didn't even realize it. They only have 2 guys over 30 years old. This is a youth movement. Now, Pelinka said that, and they're investing in Max Christie. They got Bronny. They got J.J. Redick to relate to the young guys. But LeBron, he can't be thrilled with this group, can he?
No, he can't be thrilled. I mean, it is what it is. They're essentially bringing back the same team as last year. Their improvements will have to come from, one, whatever new strategies J.J. Redick has, okay? He's already talked about wanting LeBron to shoot more threes. What type of offense does he run? Can he unlock some things that this roster wasn't able to unlock in the past? That's one thing. And then the guys that weren't healthy, Jarrett Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, how much can they contribute? If they're healthy, those are guys, Spencer Dinwiddie even. None of them played 30 games last year. So they're pretty good players. All you need are role players because you got your big 2 in LeBron and AD. So if those guys can stay healthy and then be productive, more productive than they were last year in the playoffs, that's where your improvement could come from. I don't think they're a top-tier contender in the Western Conference, but if those guys do improve and LeBron and AD stay healthy, they, could be a legitimate playoff team, meaning they get in that 6-ish area. Yeah. But more likely, they're probably going to be in the play-in, maybe 7 or 8 in the play-in.
Well, you say that, but the Suns haven't gotten any better. The paper clips have gotten worse. The Warriors lose Chris Paul and Klay Thompson. They're not going to be better. I don't know. There's a world where, like you said, J.J. Redick is worth, I don't know, let's say 4 or 5 wins that Darvin Ham botched with his rotations and late game stuff. And now you're like, oh, my gosh, the Lakers stumbled into 49 or 50 wins, Chris. So maybe they are a top 6 team in the West.
It's a 6-ish. They could be. I think New Orleans is going to be better. Yeah. Obviously, you got Denver. Well, Denver's a little worse. I mean, they've lost some players, but they're still going to be still better than the Lakers. All right, so you got Denver, Minnesota, OKC, Dallas, and then, like I said, I expect New Orleans to be better. And then you have that group of Golden State. Now, we know they're trying to get Lowry marketing. I don't know that they can.
No.
But if they do, I love them. I'm not saying top tier contender, but if they get Lowry marketing, he would be a perfect fit. That would be nice, and they would be something to deal with in the Western Conference.
Well, how are they getting him?
Absolutely.
How are they getting him? Kuminga and
Well,
picks?
that's the challenge. I mean, that would be the challenge. But if they can, he would be a great fit for them. And they need to go all in as long as Steph is there, in my view.
Okay, let's go to the best player in the league, Luka Doncic, the Slovenian stallion. He gets Klay Thompson to go with Kyrie Irving in his backcourt. Listen, man, Stan Van Gundy was calling this the best backcourt in NBA history a month ago. I know that was a little bit much, but you add Klay in place of Derek Jones. I mean, what are we looking at here? How do you defend this team? Klay's going to sit in the corner and just spot up, and you got to hug him up. You didn't have to do that with Derek Jones or P.J. Washington. Like, this is a big upgrade. I've got the Mavs tops in the West. Do you?
They're going to be right up there. I mentioned the top 4 teams, and I think OKC has had a phenomenal offseason. Josh Giddey didn't get much in the playoffs. I kind of like Giddey, but I like Caruso better. They don't need a big scorer in that kind of 4th slot. They've got their big 3. We know it's SGA, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. And now you've got a great defender in Caruso, adding him to an already great defensive team. And Isaiah Hartenstein, they needed size. They needed a little rebounding. He doesn't have to go there and get 15 points a night. So that's a good addition. Their only question is youth. And I still think they're 1 year away from really being able to win the West and potentially win the whole thing. Dallas, I love what they've done. Klay is a perfect fit there. He's a guy that obviously, like when you have Kyrie and Luka, you need a guy that can play off, 2 ball-dominant guards, a guy that can score big time without dominating the ball or having it in his hands a lot. And obviously that's Klay Thompson. Look, Klay averaged 18 points on 39% shooting from 3 last year. Yeah. Those are really good numbers. All right, so I'm with you on the Mavericks as far as them being right there near the top. I think Luka, what he went through in the finals, he didn't play badly, but he was good, but he wasn't awesome like he usually is. That's what he needed. I think he needed to see that, have that moment, and now look in the mirror and say, okay, if I want to get to the next level and be a champion, I've got to be better on defense, just more engaged. And I think Klay can help him there too, because we know Luka's never going to be a shutdown defender, but Klay can talk to him about a guy like Steph. Look, Steph was never a shutdown defender, Luka, but he was smart. He was always in the right spot. He gave full effort defensively, and he talked. That's all we need you to do. So I think he can help Luka in that regard. And then I expect Luka to lay off the refs a little bit too, so he'll be better. The key, I think a big key for the Mavericks is, can Kyrie be as good this upcoming season as he was this last year? There's really no reason to think he can't unless Father Time just smacks him on the shoulder. But I think Kyrie will be big. If Kyrie can play like he did last year, then they should definitely have a great chance of getting back to the finals. Yeah,
let's remember, their offense is what killed them against Boston. I think they were under 100 like 4 times. They couldn't score. Now you add Klay. That's huge. All right, let's go to the East, where my Knicks, I have narrowly behind Boston, but the Sixers are trying to close the gap with this Paul George signing. Chris, I like Paul George's game a lot. I don't know, man. We've seen a bunch of big threes where somebody has to take a step back so the team can move forward. We saw Chris Bosh, Kevin Love. I mean, somebody somewhere has to take a step back in this big three. Is Paul George going to be that guy? Because we know Maxey and Embiid are homegrown talents in Philly.
Well, I think this big three, unlike some other ones, they all fit. You got the big man in Embiid, you got the point guard in Maxey, and you got the swing man in Paul George. So I think they'll be, and Maxey, Maxey is not a ball-dominant guy where, like you mentioned big threes with LeBron. LeBron, especially in his prime at that time, was ball-dominant. So that third guy definitely does kind of become a glorified role player. That's not necessarily the case in all big threes. It's just, do the big threes fit? And these big threes, this big three in Philly, really fits together nicely. My main concern with them is not, oh, it's a big three, can it work? It's will they be healthy? And with me, Philadelphia, particularly with Joel Embiid and even Paul George, they are now firmly in the I'll believe it when I see it mode for me. That's how I feel about it. Like, I love Joel Embiid. I do wish he'd play a little more down low. He's got a great one of the best mid-range shooters in the league, period. So I don't want to take that away from his game, but there are times when he should use his size, kind of like Nikola Jokic does at times, and I hope Embiid takes that next step and does that. But my question with him is, will you be healthy? We know how his production has gone down in the playoffs, and it's because he's either really banged up and misses most of the postseason or a few games in a series, or even if he plays kind of like last year, he's like 70, 75%. So he can't play as well as he did in the regular season. I think, look, Joel Embiid, the clock is ticking. I know he's only 30, but it feels like he's got the body of a 35-year-old. And I think there is more pressure on him than any other player in the NBA this year. He's got to get it done. All of the other elite players in this era have done it. Jokic has gotten his ring. Giannis has gotten his ring. Now Tatum and Brown in Boston have their ring. When are you getting your ring, Joel? You got your MVP. This is all that's left for you to do. And with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey as your wingmen, there's no excuse. I know they might lack a little depth, but Nick Nurse is a very good coach. And I like Kelly Oubre as a fourth guy. They've got enough depth, I think, if those three are healthy, to really make some noise in the East. But I'm not convinced till I see him being healthy.
I mean, I think they're starting barbecue chicken at shooting guard, Eric Gordon. I mean, he would struggle to defend you at your advanced age. I just say this about Embiid. Is it fair, Chris? Is it fair to say, hey, man, Joel Embiid's a really good basketball player. He's also a choke artist when it comes to the playoffs. He's either hurt or he doesn't show up. And we continue to defend. He's bulletproof for some reason in Philly. Against the Hawks, he had 8 turnovers at home in Game 7. 8. Yeah. Go look at the Celtics 2 years ago. I mean, they're up 3-2. All you got to do, Joel, show up, give me 40. And they get destroyed. I mean, I don't know. Show me when Joel Embiid's ever come through in the playoffs.
First of all, I think really good player is ridiculous. He's a great player. I mean, last year, he entered last season definitely behind the 8 ball, if you will, when it came to the MVP race, right? Because a lot of people felt like he didn't deserve it the year he won it. They thought he should have went to Jokic. Embiid was so good before he got injured that he was the leading MVP candidate. I was one that was like, there's no way Embiid's getting it this year. But he was playing so well, and he cooks Jokic every time they play. He is a great player. But you are right. He has not gotten it done in the playoffs. It's fair to be critical of him there. I tend to think most of it is because he's always banged up. Even when he's healthy, he misses a game or two. You know, I mean, so he's not fully healthy. I'm saying even when he plays, he'll typically miss a game in a series or 2 games in a series. So that's on him, though. He's got to find a way to stay healthy. And I'm not sure there isn't some mental thing there, too. I'm not saying that the moment might not get too big for him. There's no excuse for him losing to Trae Young and Jalen Brunson in the playoffs and not be able to advance to the conference finals. So that's why I said it is more pressure on Embiid than any player in the league.
Okay, I'll ask you this. Knicks face the Sixers in the conference semifinals. That's what it's, 2 versus 3, whatever. Who's the best player in the series? And don't tell me Joel Embiid, Chris. Don't do it.
Embiid.
Oh, stop it.
Embiid.
Jalen Brunson beat him like a drum in the playoffs last year. Go look at Brunson's stats. Come on, you can't
say that. First of all,
Chris.
it's called a team sport, number one.
Oh, it's a team sport.
Secondly, Embiid we know his lower extremities were not 100%. He had migraine headaches. He had Bell's palsy.
Soft.
And I'm not an Embiid apologist.
You sure
but
sound
you
like
are not about to sit here. You are not about to sit here on national TV and say Jalen Brunson, God bless him, he's a great player. But that he is better than Joel Embiid?
He was last year. He was last year.
Stop it. You should apologize right now to the viewers.
Go look at the numbers, what Brunson did to the Sixers in that series. Brunson was a revelation.
Numbers. He was great in that series. Okay. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But to say he's better than Joel Embiid, no way.
And how about this, Chris? How about this? The Knicks could have had Paul George. They looked at him and they were like, we could trade Randall and a bunch of picks. They said, no, we don't want Paul George. We want no-time All-Star Mikal Bridges to fit with our chemistry.
So are you saying Paul George isn't good?
No, I mean, he's good.
Because the Knicks are The Knicks are choosing, and I'm not I think the Knicks, I like what they've done. So I'm not going to crush what they've done, but I think the Knicks are clearly choosing chemistry over star power. They're saying, look, we got the 3 guys from Villanova. Now we got the 4 guys from Villanova. We know they all work well together. The challenge, and not a challenge, but what the Knicks are going to have to do, because you keep, rhapsodizing about Jalen Brunson's numbers in the playoffs, they're not going to be able to play that way this year. Like the way they played in the playoffs where it was all Brunson all the time, that's not the best way for them to play now. They got 4 guys that could arguably average 20 points a game, right? You got Jalen, you've got Julius Randle coming back, OG Anunoby, and now Mikal Bridges. So I think it's going to have to be a little more, and this is good, but it should be a little more equal opportunity offense, and they can do it. A lot of people wonder if Randle can fit into that offense, and now that Brunson's kind of taking command. But remember, when OG Anunoby got there last year, and they were fully healthy, Randle included, they went 12-2, and then Randle got hurt. So I do think he can fit. If he can't, and if he's messing things up, then you've got a trade opportunity with him because he is a good player. So I like the Knicks. They obviously have depth. If they're healthy, other thing about them, like if they face Boston, and Boston is more talented, I think Brown and Tatum are better than the players that the Knicks have.
All right.
However, the Knicks have, they are tough, they are gritty, they are hard-nosed, and they're the type of team you just don't want to play because they're going to make it rough on you even if you beat them.
My guy, Chris Broussard, he's got to walk down the streets of New York City today to First Things First. And people are going to be saying there's no way Embiid's better than Brunson. I know they saw it. I cannot wait to hear what the New Yorkers tell you. Maybe enjoy First Things First there, Chris. Good stuff, buddy.
All right, man.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.